See you soon. That's the message to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un from U.S. President Donald Trump. After the two men again strike up their famous pen-pal relationship, working-level talks could start as soon as this month. South Korea's Hur Mi-jung weathers rain and a tough field to win the LPGA Ladies Scottish Open. She sets a tournament record 20 under par in the process to scoop her first title since 2014. Plus, tear gas has again been fired by police on protesters in Hong Kong as increasingly violent demonstrations enter their 10th week. The protesters are demanding sweeping democratic reforms. Our top story this morning, U.S. President Donald Trump spent part of his weekend telling reporters about the very beautiful three-page letter he received from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Trump says Kim is eager to hold another summit, but he was concerned about the joint military drills between Seoul and Washington that are already happening as we speak. And this feeling from Kim seemingly struck a bit of a chord with the U.S. president himself. Our Won Jung-hwan starts us off.
President Trump tweeted details about the beautiful letter that he received from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just 15 hours after Pyongyang fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles into the East Sea. Trump said Saturday that Kim wants to meet once again to resume nuclear talks with the U.S. as soon as the joint military exercise between Seoul and Washington is over. Noting that it was a long letter, much of it complaining about the ridiculous and expensive exercises, Trump also said Kim apologized for the recent flurry of short-range missile tests that has rattled U.S. allies in the region, and assured that they would cease testing when the combined exercise ends. Trump did not give any details about when the two leaders might meet again, but said that he looked forward to seeing Kim in the not-too-distant future. However, some news outlets have expressed concerns that Trump appeared to be siding with Kim in its objections to the joint drills with South Korea, calling them ridiculous and expensive at a time of renewed security tensions. The Washington Post said his tweets are sending the wrong message to U.S. allies, calling it a mob shakedown which could have potentially destabilizing effects. The New York Times also said Trump is seemingly echoing the North Korea's criticism over the drills, saying they cost too much and South Korea does not pay enough for them. Indeed, on Friday, Mr. Trump said he had never supported the exercises with South Korea to begin with. Meanwhile, North Korea says it won't talk with South Korea unless Seoul pulls out of its joint exercise with the U.S. or provides a convincing reason. That's according to a statement released on Sunday morning by a senior North Korean Foreign Ministry official in charge of U.S. affairs. The official said any future talks would involve only the North and the U.S., not South Korea, who he criticized for not recognizing Pyongyang's right to self-defense. Won Jung-hwan, Arirang News.
Now, the New York Post has reported on the rather insensitive jokes U.S. President Donald Trump made during a recent fundraising event for his re-election, which included one on defense cost-sharing with South Korea. With the event taking place at the Hamptons last Friday, Trump told the story of him going as a boy to collect rent checks with his father, adding it was, quote, easier to get $1 billion from South Korea than to get $114.13 from a rent-controlled apartment in Brooklyn. Trump added South Korea has a thriving economy, so it's Seoul that needs to pay for the defense costs. Now, after what was essentially a third summit between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and President Trump at the DMZ back in June, working-level talks between the two sides are likely to take place, and possibly even as early as this month. Choi Si-young with the details.
U.S. President Donald Trump took to the Twitter on Saturday to say that he's looking forward to seeing North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in the not-too-distant future. He said Kim sent him a letter and the North Korean leader wants to start denuclearization talks once the joint South Korea-U.S. military drills known as Combined Command Post Training come to an end. Those exercises are scheduled to run through next Tuesday. This is why speculation is mounting over possible working-level talks taking place in late August. On the same day, a senior North Korean foreign ministry official in charge of U.S. affairs urged Washington to come to the talks with the right attitude. And they will meet directly, not through South Korea, as they did before when they met at the DMZ in June. At the last meeting, President Trump said working-level talks with North Korea would take place soon, but nothing has happened since. The U.S. aims to begin the talks by early October at the latest, just in time for the UN General Assembly, slated for late October, so it opens the possibility for senior-level talks with North Korea on the sidelines of that meeting. If that happens, those talks could pave the way for a fourth leaders summit between North Korea and the U.S. However, there are some hurdles to overcome before working-level talks begin. The U.S. wants to talk about North Korea's complete denuclearization, while Kim Jong-un is only willing to shut down the regime's Yongbyon nuclear complex. It's also unclear what North Korea will demand in return, even if it agrees to the U.S. demands. 최시영, Arirang News.
Now, South Korea and the United States, they kicked off one of their joint annual military exercises on Sunday, despite North Korea's vocal criticisms and its uptick in military activity, especially missile launches. But these sharply scaled down drills, as they used to be in years past, they're going to run through August 20th, which is next Tuesday. Our Defense Ministry correspondent Kim Ji-yeon reports.
The South Korean and U.S. militaries hold their combined command post training for 10 days starting Sunday. Last week, South Korea and the U.S. conducted preliminary sessions in the run-up to their joint summertime training. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said the training, which is divided into two parts, involves computer-based war simulations to verify South Korea's state of readiness for the future transfer of wartime operational control from Washington to Seoul. Real military equipment and forces are not mobilized during the training. For the first time, a South Korean general serves as the commander and an American general takes on the role of a deputy. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff, Operations Command of South Korea's Ground, Naval, and Air Force, as well as Combined Forces Command, U.S. Forces Korea, Operations Command of U.S. Indo-Pacific are participating in the training. The name of the training was originally thought to be 19-2 Dongmeng, a Korean word meaning alliance, but the name was changed considering North Korea's continued criticism of joint South Korea-U.S. military drills and the impact they may have on denuclearization talks. Up until now, joint military exercises have been named Key Resolve, Fell Eagle, and Ulti Freedom Guardian, but following the series of inter-Korean and North Korea-U.S. summits, they were scaled down as part of efforts to support diplomatic efforts for denuclearization. In March, the 19-1 Dongmeng exercise replaced the Key Resolve exercise. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Now, North Korea has officially described the latest missiles it launched on Saturday as, quote, a new weapon system that has a tactical character different from the regime's existing weapon systems. Experts say the North's latest weapons actually resemble tactical missile systems used by the U.S. military. Kim Hyo-sun with this report.
North Korea's state-run Korean Central News Agency released on Sunday photographs of the new weapons the regime tested a day earlier. The missile launched on August 10th from the North's northeastern city of Hamhung showed similar traits to the U.S. Army's tactical missile system known as ATACMS. They are also similar in that they can carry 2 missiles per launcher load. While the range of ATACMS is 300 kilometers, Pyongyang's new tactical weapon flew over 400 kilometers at an apogee of around 48 kilometers at a maximum speed of more than Mach 6.1.
Following the launch, Chairman Kim expressed great satisfaction that the new weapons have been successfully developed.
North Korea has now showcased 3 new weapons, including short-range ballistic missiles assessed to be KN-23, a modified version of a Russian Iskander missile, as well as what the regime described as a newly developed large-caliber multiple rocket launcher system.
North Korea is now capable of targeting major industrial facilities more precisely.
Experts say the development is part of the regime's efforts to shift its current liquid-fueled conventional missiles to solid-fuel engine missiles.
Solid fuel missiles are more suitable for surprise attacks, and their launchers can store missiles for longer.
The launches are part of the regime's protest against the ongoing Seoul-Washington military drills, and it has signaled that more launches could follow until the drills wrap up on August 20th. Kim Jong-un, Arirang News.
Iran has expressed its hope South Korea will not join a US-led military coalition for maritime security in the Strait of Hormuz. This is according to an Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson in an interview with Seoul-based Yonhap news agency, which came after defense talks were held between Seoul and Washington last Friday. During that meeting, US Defense Secretary Mark Esper asked for Seoul's cooperation to ensure freedom of navigation in the strait. This is the first time Iran has mentioned South Korea regarding the matter, asking it to take a neutral stance as it doesn't want their good ties to sour. Another weekend, another stunning victory for a South Korean golfer in the LPGA. This time, it was Hur Mi-jung who scored 6 birdies in the final 9 holes of the final round on Sunday to win the Aberdeen Standard Investments Ladies Scottish Open. With 4 players tied for the lead going into the final 9, the 29-year-old stepped up her game to capture her first LPGA title in 5 years. The 20-under par finish also gives her the 72-hole tournament record, as she finished a comfortable 4 strokes ahead of 2 other competitors who tied for second. The victory makes her the 7th different LPGA winner from South Korea during the 2019 season. And staying with sport, South Korean pitcher Ryu Hyun-jin came off the 10-day injured list with an impeccable performance to help the LA Dodgers win on Sunday local time. Ryu strengthened his leading position in the race for his first Cy Young Award with 7 scoreless innings at Dodger Stadium as the Dodgers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 9 runs to 3. He was on the winning side for the 12th time this season and lowered his ERA to 1.45. Nobody else in the MLB has an ERA below 2 this year besides Ryu, and he's far below that. He's currently on track for the 5th lowest ERA in Major League Baseball history. Switching gears now, anti-Abe opposition is growing in Japan to their prime minister, as many Japanese have been protesting against Tokyo's economic retaliation against South Korea. However, the far-right Abe supporters also continue to ridicule and blast the South Korean government, deepening this bilateral rift we're seeing with Japan right now. Lee Seung-jae reports.
Over the weekend, Koreans and Japanese took to the streets of Tokyo with lit candles to demonstrate against Japan's economic retaliation on South Korea.
First off, I think we should overthrow the Abe administration. We need to improve our relations with South Korea with a new government.
About 30 minutes into the peaceful candlelit march, a group of angry right-wing supporters appeared near the intersection, carrying the Rising Sun flag, a symbol of Japan's imperialist past. Local police blocked the 2 sides to prevent them from clashing, but the right-wing supporters started to chant disgraceful comments towards the peaceful demonstrators.
Kick out the Koreans demanding money. Kill them.
Despite South Korea's boycott on Japanese goods and tourism, Japan's conservatives continue to ridicule Korea. This includes the conservative daily, the Sankei Shimbun, which continues to applaud the Abe administration for the economic retaliation and has even refused to report on the South Korean boycott. The broadcaster of Japan's DHC Group subsidiary, well known in South Korea as a cosmetics and dietary supplement company, also added its voice to the far-right commentaries. It claims South Koreans will forget about the issue over time, and it's better to ignore them. The president of the company has been known for his extreme comments, even taking to his company's website 3 years ago to demand Korean Japanese be kicked out of Japan. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
South Korea's tech giant Samsung Electronics has ranked second and its local rival LG Electronics seventh on an annual list of the top 300 organizations that received U.S. utility patents, according to the Intellectual Property Owners Association. That was recently released, the list for 2018. IBM was top of the pile. Two South Korean companies were in the top 10, Samsung and LG. Japan and Taiwan had one each. Samsung Electronics has been number 2 on the list every year since 2007 and 2018. The South Korean government is set to roll out a price ceiling system for apartment complexes built on privately owned housing sites. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport will announce the new measures on this Monday, following consultations between the government and the ruling party. The new system will target bubble-prone areas, especially in Seoul's Gangnam district. There had been speculation the announcement could be delayed, as the government is concentrating on devising countermeasures against Japan's trade curbs. However, a ministry official explained the price ceiling system will be announced as scheduled. Pro-democracy demonstrations in Hong Kong have now entered their 10th consecutive week and show very little sign of weakening. And clashes between the protesters and police were particularly intense on Sunday compared with previous weekends. For more on this and other news from around the world, let's turn to our Kim Dami. So Dami, give us the latest.
Mark, braving hot and humid conditions, thousands of pro-democracy protesters hit the streets of Hong Kong on Sunday with their so-called guerrilla-style rallies on the island. Just like on Saturday, groups made up of hundreds and even thousands of people gathered in cities including Tsim Sha Tsui and Wan Chai and ran away. Riot police fired tear gas into a railway station to disperse crowds, along with using batons to beat protesters who were running away. Police said they arrested 16 people. At least 7 people were injured. Initially, the movement was focused on the removal of the detested extradition bill, but now that bill is basically dead in the water. The protesters are shifting their call for democracy, such as genuine democratic elections. On Sunday afternoon, more than 1,000 people gathered in Victoria Park, Causeway Bay for the day's only anti-government rally that has been approved by police. People waved flags that said Hong Kong independence both in Chinese and English, and an American flag also appeared at the protest. Typhoon Lakima has left 32 people dead and 16 missing in China. The typhoon made landfall on Saturday in Zhejiang province in the east of the country, packing wind speeds of over 200 kilometers per hour. The 9th typhoon to hit China this year caused landslides and floods, with most of those killed dying because of a single landslide. Emergency crews battled to save survivors trapped in the rubble of damaged buildings. As the storm moved north, over 40,000 households lost electricity in Shanghai, and hundreds of flights and trains were canceled. Lakima is expected to lose most of its steam on Monday afternoon after sweeping across Shandong province. It was something like out of the Fast and Furious, but instead of the Rock or Vin Diesel, it was an ostrich. The huge flightless bird appeared out of the nowhere in China's Shipping County and started running through the streets seamlessly without a care in the world. Captured on CCTV, the bird even startled a truck driver by suddenly appearing in front of the vehicle. After a 30-minute jog, the ostrich returned to the home it escaped from after being frightened by some visitors.
Well, it's time now for our Life and Info segment where we focus on information that we do hope will be useful for your everyday life. Now, it goes without saying that driving on flooded roads during stormy weather is no one's idea of fun. It can be extremely dangerous and can potentially damage your vehicle. Fortunately, some experts are on hand to share their tips on how to prevent water flooding your engine. Our Park Se-young with more.
Driving on flooded roads comes with many dangers. Typhoons and rainstorms can cause damage to vehicles. To prevent damage, it's best to avoid driving in these conditions, and cars parked in low-lying areas should be moved in advance. Drivers should also try to avoid major areas of standing water or driving near bodies of water. When driving through flooded areas, drivers should maintain a slow and steady forward momentum. Once out of the water, drivers are advised to pump the brakes several times to dry them. If caught on a flooded road where waters are rising rapidly, get out of the car and move to higher ground. Once the water level rises, water pressure may stop doors from being opened, and when water levels reach the car's bumper, water can get sucked into the engine and destroy it.
Even if the car ahead passed through the flooded area, accidents can happen. And with the rising use of electronic components in cars, even a little water can stop their operation and require complete replacement.
Electric and hybrid cars also require special attention.
When water enters, the power is shut off by the primary and secondary safety devices. You should not park in flood-prone areas.
Water damage is covered by full coverage insurance. However, compensation could be limited if either the windows or sunroof are open. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, research shows drinking more than 3 cups of coffee a day can be detrimental for those of you who suffer from migraines. Studies conducted by researchers at America's Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center show over 3 cups of caffeinated drinks a day may trigger a migraine in sufferers, but 1 or 2 cups are generally seen as okay. Researchers say 227 grams of coffee, 170 grams of tea, or 57 grams of energy drink should be considered as 1 caffeinated drink. The study was published in the American Journal of Medicine.
Good morning. Those of us in Korea's western regions will need an umbrella handy. Due to the indirect effect of Typhoon Lekima, moderate to heavy showers are falling in western parts of the country. So 5 to 40 millimeters are expected for most western regions. Jeju and southern parts will see the wet weather last into late this afternoon. Up north, we'll see rain extend until early Tuesday. Meanwhile, heat wave alerts remain in place for many regions, though heat will take a break thanks to showers for western regions, but heat warnings are still in effect for Daegu, Gyeongsang-Bukdo and Chungcheong-Bukdo provinces. And daily highs there will be around 35 degrees Celsius under mostly sunny skies with strong UV rays, so watch out for heat stroke. The sizzling heat will subside this week, and we should have more comfortable morning temperatures starting this weekend. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's all we have for now, news and weather-wise, on this Monday morning here in Seoul. Stay tuned to Arirang TV, and a reminder that Lee Ji-yoon will be back here at noon Korea time with our next newscast. So until then, goodbye.
Ago in 1999. Arirang TV aired overseas for the first time. Anywhere, at any time. Growing together. Hand in hand. With viewers around the globe. Arirang. 20 years together, closer to you. 20th anniversary worldwide broadcasting since 1999. Arirang.
From Arirang Radio, this is Good Morning Seoul. Arirang.
You're listening to Music Access. What's up?
We also got a lot of fun things coming for you later on in the show.
What's up, guys?
Benji!